Hi guys, it's Becca here to give you the lowdown on emotional wounds. If you're watching this video, you've probably got some questions about this aspect of characterization, and I'm really glad you've tuned in because I've got some information for you. With the Emotional Wound Thesaurus, you can build stronger backstories for your characters while gaining a fuller understanding of how past events will affect their actions, behavior, motivations, and even personality, so you can write about them from a place of authority. Emotional wounds are also a key piece of character arc, so unearthing any unresolved trauma from a character's past will help you understand what's holding them back in the story. So let's start with a definition. An emotional wound is a past experience that was so terrible and damaging that your character was changed as a result. They're a different person now, as they have turned their life upside down to avoid being hurt the same way again. Unfortunately, this means that fear is driving their actions and choices. It's holding them back, causing problems in their relationships and their ability to achieve meaningful goals, and affecting how they view the world and themselves. In other words, emotional wounds are destructive. Your character must learn to release themselves from the fear and hurt of the past, or they'll never find the happiness and fulfillment they're really seeking. The Emotional Wound Thesaurus contains a large range of wounds from the real world, delving into the psychology of each so you'll know how a character who has experienced each event could behave in your story. You'll find many different kinds of wounds here: crime and victimization, failures and mistakes, injustice and hardship, misplaced trust and betrayals, childhood wounds, and more. This variety ensures you'll have plenty of brainstorming material for any character you're writing. Before we dive into the entries, I want to give just a quick disclaimer. Because these wounds do happen in the real world, reading about them can be triggering. So as you're exploring this aspect of characterization for your character, please practice self-care by avoiding any that might be overwhelming, and take breaks if something becomes too intense for you. Let's start by looking at a common childhood wound, a parent's abandonment or rejection. Many different circumstances can bring this trauma about, so the first thing you'll see is a list of possible forms it might take. Did the character's mother surrender them to the state as an infant? When they were young, were they left with a relative for long periods of time with no contact from their parents? As a child, were they left alone frequently and forced to fend for themselves? The information in this field can help you zero in on the details surrounding your character's wound. Now, every wounding event will create a missing human need, a void the character will seek to fill by chasing a certain goal. A character abandoned by their parent may feel unloved and alone. In this case, their love and belonging need is not being filled. As a result, they may pursue a story goal of becoming part of a family, or being loved for who they are, or being welcomed into a group or organization of their peers. If you want your character to end the story better than where they started, this need must be met, and that will happen when they achieve their goal. This is the character arc for many protagonists, but not every story has a happy ending. If the character fails to achieve their goal, that need will go unmet, and they'll continue to live a life of unhappiness, discontent, and a lack of connection with others. One of the biggest obstacles a character will face in the story is how their wound makes them feel about themselves. When a person suffers emotional pain, they tend to blame themselves or believe they deserved what happened to them. They think that somehow they should have prevented the situation, even if they were in no way to blame and there was nothing they could have done to stop it. Through this self-analysis of that traumatic moment and what went wrong, the character will come to a conclusion about themselves that is simply not true, that they're not worthy of something better, that they're defective, weak, or somehow less than everyone else. Their experience may also skew their idea of the world or other people, creating a belief that no one can be trusted, people are out to get them, or that only certain people can win at life and it's not them. Whatever lie they adopt, it will cloud their thinking and hold them back from achieving the goal that will bring them fulfillment. For them to find success, the character must recognize the lie for what it is and refute it. This is a key part of the character's arc, so each entry contains a list of lies that could realistically result from that wounding event. Another byproduct of a wound is the fear it produces, a fear that this traumatic event could happen again. A character who was abandoned or rejected may fear deep relationships because experience has taught them that if they trust others, those people will break their heart or let them down. At some point in your story, your character will have to move past that fear. They'll have to realize that while rejection is possible, it's not the norm, and the benefits of connecting with others and building healthy relationships outweigh the risk of being hurt. This next section contains many thoughts, behaviors, and actions that make sense for a character who has experienced this event. Someone who is abandoned by their parents may shut off their emotions or move from place to place so it's easier to stay unattached. They may become fiercely independent, or alternatively, get really clingy when someone shows interest. This content can provide you with ideas about your character's mindset, their habits, and how they'll interact with others. One way the character will try to protect themselves from future harm is by adopting new traits, both positive and negative. A character who experienced rejection might become fiercely loyal to the few people in their life they know to be trustworthy. They could become cynical in their view of other people, resent those with healthy relationships, or even become subservient to someone in their desperation to stay close to them. The traits in these fields are part of our positive and negative trait thesauruses, making them easy to reference. Just click any that look interesting and you'll be taken to that entry for more information. The final 3 fields provide ways to help your character heal, because this is a necessity for any character with a change arc. Over the course of the story, they'll need to learn to face their fears, reframe the lie that's been poisoning their thinking, and exchange dysfunctional behaviors for healthy ones. But the healing process takes time, and very often things have to get worse before they get better. Triggering events can create opportunities for the character to choose how they'll respond. Early in the story, the character will be entrenched in their dysfunctional coping methods, unwilling to try something new even though their old way isn't working. But as time goes on, their situation will worsen, and they'll see the need for change. Triggering events are how we can make the character's situation more difficult, pushing them to that important realization. And as they start turning slowly in the right direction, the steps toward healing and opportunities to face their wound fields will be invaluable. This is the process for change and growth that you can use for any character with a successful arc. It can also be inverted for a character who is ultimately unable to release their fear and embrace healthy methods, with their story resulting in tragedy. This is often the pattern we see for antagonists, villains, and anti-heroes. Every character will have some form of emotional trauma, and moving past it doesn't mean it's gone. It will always be part of them. But as your character grows in their knowledge of that event, they become better at seeing it for what it really is. Not something they somehow caused or let happen, but an unfortunate moment in time that shouldn't define their future. This realization and the changes it brings are a satisfying part of a change arc as your character moves from broken to whole. When you know your character's wound, you gain so much insight into what's haunting them, how they will behave in the story you're writing, which goal they may choose as part of their journey, and how they'll need to change to achieve fulfillment. When you have a firm grasp on this information and can convey it organically to readers, they'll know who they're rooting for and what success will look like in the story. If you'd like to know a bit more about emotional wounds, please see our tutorial on the subject. And if you're looking for more information about the individual aspects of character arc, just scroll down to that section. Happy writing!